Hello and welcome. We are just a few days, possibly a few hours out from the Monster Hunter Wilds launch, and, well, I want to talk about how it's going to become my game of the year. It is something that it is a wonderful game that, even though there might be a few things that I'm not really excited that are not there or are not happening, I want to talk about what makes this game of the year for me. Monster Hunter has always been a series that kind of has this gameplay loop that is different than, I would say, many other series in the world. And I think what they do well is they do that thing very well, and that is the repetitive nature of fighting a monster to get the armor, to craft the armor, to get gems, to get decorations, to get charms, to get this and to get that. It is a grind, but also doesn't really feel like a chore or a grind many a times. It's something that it feels exciting, and it always feels like you're progressing towards something and not just doing something over and over again and not getting anything out of it. It's a series that I have been seeing the reviews, and even though I've seen mixed reviews, I've seen a lot of people praise the story, and I think that's going to be something that at first I was a little bit shocked about and wasn't certain if it would go well, and now, I'm pretty okay with it. It's pretty alright. It has amazing gameplay, possibly a great story. If it seems like at least it'll be an interesting story, I'll enjoy the ride, while I'm on it. And it's something that the series does so many things well that, the fighting of monsters, feeling like you finally have overcome something, is still going to be there, even if from what reviewers say, the difficulty's not there. I'm certain I'm still going to cart from time to time. As a dual blades user, you have to learn the monster's attacks pretty well before you can start actually doing anything. So I'm certain I will be carting from time to time. Maybe not in low rank, but that's fine. Once we get into high rank, I'm certain I'll start carting from time to time myself. It's a series that I think the environments are wonderful, beautiful. Just from the first area of the game, I've seen so many wondrous things. I've seen so many things that I wasn't expecting. Fighting a monster and a bunch of small little monsters jump on it and start biting and nipping at it. And it's like, that is something that might seem very small, but just makes the world feel alive. And I think that's something that really resonates to the Monster Hunter series. These worlds feel alive more than many other games that I have played in the past. The gameplay is phenomenal. The music is out of this world, as it always has been for me. And just things are feeling really good. Everything in the game feels wondrous and amazing. And I will say I've been a big Monster Hunter fan since World. I know I'm not pretty much an old Monster Hunter head, but ever since World, I've been a fan of the series. I've been excited for this for a long time. It's one of these games that has had build-up for me, much like Baldur's Gate 3, where I was very excited for Baldur's Gate 3 and could not put it down for the longest time. It is one of my most played games under Monster Hunter, a game that has just World sucked me in so hard. And I just feel like this is going to be another one that sucks me in. That it is a fantastic game that, even though I wasn't able to do all the fun things, like, even though it might seem small, but being able to gather materials, just like materials like iron, or grab ore, mine some ore, get some bones out of a bone pile, and then craft gear. It's a little fun, maybe you're a little low on cash, go out and mine a little bit, get a set to go mine. It's these small little things that you can do that make it just give you a sense of achievement in a game that just has nothing that I feel like hits exactly the same. It has this repetitive nature of fighting the monsters, but it never feels overwhelming. You always have something to go towards, and all the monster designs that I've seen so far have been fantastic, wonderful, and I'm really excited to see where this series goes, really. It's something that I'm excited to see what monsters might be in the game that, maybe Capcom hasn't talked about. I'm certain there are a few, because a lot of people are, there's always, at every part of every game, there is always that one monster at the end that you don't know about, right? It's been like that for at least the past few Monster Hunters, where they bring up some and then there's, oh, well, this is actually the final boss or whatever. It's fine. And I think the series is just something that they have done a fantastic job of making it look good and making it sound good and making it feel good. And that is something that I don't know how that can be replaced. It has this exact feeling that I got, that just the mixture of everything has me feeling just this correct way. Like, it feels wonderful to be in the world, be in the game, to experience things in the game. And for me, nothing has replaced it ever since. No game has that exact feeling that I want. Let me do some brainless task of fighting monsters that I know very well, and then let me push myself a little hard when I want to. Allow me to do a mix of things, create, hopefully, multiple different types of builds that can be made. It is this diversity that was strange that I haven't heard anything about build diversity in reviews, but that could be under a review embargo. I hope that with this, it is a movement going forward for Monster Hunter. And, let's talk about the things that really haven't moved forward with it, that I'm a little upset about, but also I don't think will make the game that terrible. One big thing that I've heard is that you don't have a house, you can't capture endemic life, and then collect a bunch of pets. I'm very upset that this isn't in the game, but I have hope that they'll add it eventually, because it seems like it shouldn't be that hard. You just make a small room and then you just allow people that you already have the models for the pets. It's something that I'll just hope that comes back, but it doesn't take away from the core gameplay that the game offers. It was a side thing to do from time to time that, you don't need it there. It'd be nice to get at some point, and hopefully they do add it. They tend to do a bunch of free updates. They already have one monster, Mitsune, that's going to be coming out with one of the packs. So, it's something that this version, Wilds, could specifically add things from time to time. And, well, with the roster being not as high as I wanted it to be from what reviewers are saying, it is something that hopefully they continue to just add a bunch of monsters. The skeletons are there. The amount of graphics and things that have been increased. The skeletons, typically how they build monsters is off of a skeleton, and they're all there. They could easily figure this out to add more monsters. Maybe they got to make some higher res quality images for things, but they had really good base images for models in World, I would say. It's something where this game already looks fantastic, and if they take their time on a few monsters, getting them put in right, that's something that I'm willing to wait for. It's a game that seems to be packed with things to do, and also just seems to be one of the best versions of Monster Hunter out there. Obviously, there could be more put in, and we could eventually see some more, perhaps with a DLC, or perhaps just adding monsters over time. In World and into Iceborne, there was a bunch of creatures added because mostly they added a skeleton or two. Adding the Tigrex, Nargacuga, Barioth model, that added 3 new things, and it's something that's easy to build off of that skeleton as well. Anyways, I feel like the negatives that this game has don't really affect how the game will feel. It's looking like it could be, whether or not it is a good story, it seems like it'll be an interesting journey, an interesting story. The gameplay feels wonderful, and albeit there's been a big discussion about difficulty in Monster Hunter, and some people, a big argument. And I think a lot of it comes down to giving the player a lot of movement options and a lot of defensive options makes the game a bit easier. And it's fun. It's still fun. And I think that really is what's causing this sort of debate. You know, a lot of people felt like Rise was easier than World, and they're like, oh, it's just because you're getting better. But there were a lot of defensive options that really help you out as a player. And giving them more defensive options is decent, but if it's defensive options within the moveset and just kind of the wound system of itself, seems like maybe some things were made a little bit too easy. You know, people have been mentioning the palicos. I think difficulty of the game is something that is per player. Some newer players had trouble in the beta, and some more experienced players had zero trouble at all. And I'm certain there's a level of difficulty there, and even though it might become something of too easy eventually over time, currently I was carding on monsters from time to time. I'm certain it's mostly because the armor that I had at the time for the beta and not having the exact right gear sets for this, but I feel like it's fairly something that, given that they've given us too many defensive options, has kind of become making the game a little bit easier than it normally should be. But regardless of all that, I do feel that the game is going to be fantastic. It's going to be wonderful. I'm going to love farming for decorations again, you know, farming for gear to craft, you know, and one of the things that's great is the layered armor now is just go hunt this monster. It's not hunt very specific hard monsters. You can fight easy monsters from what I understand. I'm excited for this game. I cannot wait to play it this Friday because I won't be able to play it on Thursday because I'm not staying up until midnight. Like I'm an old man. I can't do that. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you get wilds and you enjoy it yourself as well. I think it's going to be a wondrous game that will become definitely near and dear to my heart for years to come. Thank you, and happy hunting.